Okay, now coming to the structure. So I think by observing this image you will be able to find out many differences. Okay, that will be easy for you, right? So now this is artery and this is vein and you are having capillary. Okay, now uh, the first point under arteries. Arteries are thick-walled and elastic, which carries oxygenated blood from the heart to other organs except pulmonary artery. So the first point about artery is, as you can see in the image, you can see different layers. Many layers are present in artery, right? So the first point is arteries are thick. How the thickness is being present? It is because of the different layers with which it is made up of. Anyway, each and every layer will be having a name for it, which we will study in your higher classes. Okay, so many layers are combining together to form the artery. That is why it is thick walled. And when you see the vein, you just see for the first point in the vein. Veins are thin walled and non-elastic and carries deoxygenated blood from the different parts of the body to the heart. Okay, so in case of vein, it is thin walled. It is not so much thick, and as well as it is not so elastic in nature. In case of artery, it is elastic. In case of vein, it is non-elastic, and as well as they carry the deoxygenated blood. But what is the exceptional case? The pulmonary vein alone will be carrying oxygenated blood. So please note down in your textbook, write down as in bracket except pulmonary vein. Okay, next to the first point of veins. Then the second point is the lumen of artery is narrow and so blood flow under great pressure. So lumen is nothing but the hollow space which is present inside the blood vessel. Okay, so if you take a pipe, if you see through the pipe, you can see that hollow space, right? That inside that space only the blood will flow. So that space we will be calling it as lumen. Okay, in all the cases, in all the three blood vessels, the space through which the blood is moving, okay, or flowing, that space we will be calling it as lumen. Okay, so this lumen is narrow. This narrow in case of artery, and in case of vein, it is broad. Okay, since the lumen of the artery is narrow, what does mean by narrow? Like the width will be very less. Okay, side by side you don't have that much space. It is not so broad. Okay, the width will be very less, such that the blood needs to flow inside that small space. Okay, that is mean by narrow. So since the blood need to move in that narrow space, the blood is moving under great pressure. Okay, the blood is moving under great pressure. So what does mean by pressure? Pressure basically in physics you might have studied. Pressure is nothing but force per unit area. So the blood is applying a pressure on the blood vessel and then it is moving inside it. Okay, the force applied by the blood on a particular region of the blood vessel, we are calling it as blood pressure. Okay, since the space is too narrow in arteries, the blood is flowing under great pressure. That means the blood pressure will be more in arteries. But in case of vein, if you observe, the lumen is broad. You have got more space. So if there are more space, the pressure is getting reduced. So in veins, the blood pressure will be very less. Okay, that is the difference. And then arteries are present deep under the skin and veins are present just under the skin. Okay, just under your skin you will be able to see the veins, but in case of arteries they are very deep under the skin. And in veins, if you see, you can see this kind of structure called as valves. Okay, valves are present in the veins, but in arteries you don't have any valves. So what is the purpose of this valve? See, you know the lumen of vein is already broad, and so the blood also flows under less pressure. If there are more pressure, then it can move fast, but since the blood pressure is very less here, there are many chances of backflow of the blood. So to prevent the backflow of blood, these valves are useful for that. Okay, so you can see this. Yeah, so these are the valves. Okay, so the blood is moving. the blood is moving and it is getting filled in this region again, and again it moves. So now the valve is open. Once if the blood reaches, then slowly the valves will be closing to prevent the backflow of blood. So valve prevents the backwards blood flow. That is the function of the valves in the veins. Why? Because the blood is having a low pressure. Okay, the blood pressure is low in case of vein, due to which the backflow can happen. To prevent that, the valves are present. Okay, and then yeah, this is also another image which where you can see this valve. Okay, the small gap is there, right? So inside which the blood will be moving. Okay, in case of what is that? Arteries, you don't have any valves, and you can see here itself, you can see the space, the hollow space. The lumen is very narrow, but here you can see it is very broad. Okay, now coming to capillaries. So you know it's not very thick at all. The walls are very thin and extremely narrow. So in this case also, it is extremely narrow. 0.001 milli, 0.01 millimeter. It will be very thin. Okay, and then the blood vessels which occur at the terminals of the artery and vein. Terminals are nothing but the end of vein. Okay, terminals is point. They join the arteries and vein together. They form a vast network of vessels. And the wall of capillaries are permeable to water and dissolved substances, so that the exchange of gases taking place between the body cells and the blood in a comfortable manner. Okay, so we need to know what is the meaning of the term permeable. Okay, so permeable is nothing but like you are allowing a liquid or a gas to pass through it. Okay, the ability of the substance, okay, to allow a particular liquid or gas to pass through it, that is called as permeability or permeable. Okay, since the capillaries are very thin, it can easily allow the water and other substances into it, like gases, minerals, water, whatever it is. Okay, so substances are easily getting diffused into the capillaries because of their thin walled nature. Okay, and the exchange of materials is also taking place in a comfortable manner, and the blood also flows very slow inside this, which facilitates the exchange of food materials, gases and waste products. Since the blood is flowing very slowly in this case, the exchange and the transportation of materials is also taking place in a comfortable manner. Okay, so this is all about the different types of blood vessels, and as usual, as I say, there will be many more things which you will be learning in your higher classes, but for now, like try to understand whatever the things we have done. Okay, thank you, children.